Are you ready for the weekend yet? We have events, news, and a guest for you to enjoy this Lake Life weekend. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Lake Life Weekend Podcast. I'm Dirk, I'm your host, and we are approaching weekend 7 this February. We are still in the middle of winter. It is cold, but it is beautiful, and we are in full swing of Polar Fest in Detroit Lakes. I don't know if you had a chance to check out any of the many events yet. We just were, we went to the, what is it called? The Fire Circus last Saturday. That was really cool, and it was nice to see the whole community in the park. So many people and so many children. Harry and I were up and watched the, it's not acrobats, the artists with their fire show. That was really cool. And the Ice Palace is pretty big, pretty magnificent, and the throne, and there was a beautiful long line with people taking pictures. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, I really recommend. In the evenings when it's all lit and changes colors, very beautiful. And today, Harry and I, we actually went to the mountain, to the Detroit mountain again. We haven't been there for too long, I would say, and we met some friends out there, and it was really nice. I didn't fall too often, and Harry didn't fall too often. It was really a really nice day. I hope you are taking advantage of all the activities and availabilities of cross-country skiing, downhill skiing, snowshoeing, ice fishing, all those beautiful things that we can enjoy throughout the winter to make it also a very beautiful season. Yeah, thank you again for tuning in. For upcoming events, please always go to our website, lakelifeweekend.com. And feel free to email us to hello@lakelifeweekend.com with ideas, inspiration, critique. That would all be nice to hear. We appreciate your engagement on Facebook and Instagram and all those platforms. We invited back Birch with his disc golf intel, and I'm actually pretty happy to share that we are working on a weekend open disc golf tournament. It will be May 25th in Menarga at the brand new, I was almost said playground, at the disc golf course. You will hear all about available courses in the area in our interview, but also mark your calendars for our expo. This year's expo is more of a party. We have a Lake Life season kickoff party with some vendors on the floor. We have some road trip exhibit for you to check out. And then we have live on-stage concerts. But we also have a beanbag tournament, and we have a little disc golf challenge. And Brad will also make a game for you to participate in. So more about that in our interview as well. So please mark your calendars for March 20th. Open doors at 5 p.m. for our Lake Live season kickoff party coming up very soon. So thank you for coming. And now I don't want to keep this much longer from our interview with Brad Birch about disc golf. Thank you. Have a great weekend ahead. Welcome to another episode of Lake Life Weekend Podcast. I'm here with Brad Birch. Hi, Brad.
Hi, Dirk. How's it going?
Going really well. Thank you for coming back. You were on our program, we thought, almost 2 years ago, and we spoke about disc golf and you relocating to the area, establishing your shop. And since we are working on our next expo event and our Lake Life season kickoff party, where you are going to be a part of on March 20th. You're gonna put up a little disc golf challenge, and you're also gonna include a game that we can talk about. I thought it would be great, and you asked if you can come back on our program to kind of refresh the status of disc golf in the nation and locally. So I'm glad you came to give us an update on what has happened to disc golf And I think maybe you can just introduce yourself a little bit again for the people that have not heard the original interview back in the day. So, Brett, where are you from?
So I'm originally from Colorado. I relocated to Minnesota. It's going to be 3 years ago now. And yeah, just a little backstory. Grew up in a family heavy in sports, and I had 4 older brothers that made me rough and tough along the way, and just found myself loving nature growing up in beautiful places, and I decided to move to a different beautiful place here where all the lakes are, and different recreations. A lot of them are the same and similar, but so that's just a quick 30-minute backstory on me. Is I just moved here for different opportunities and fun. Do something different.
You live and work in Otter Tail town.
Correct.
Otter Tail city, or is Otter Tail, right?
Yes, Otter Tail. Yeah.
Otter Tail.
Yeah, I think it's the city of Otter Tail.
City of Otter Tail. Sorry, yeah, it's difficult to catch that word sometimes or that name.
Oh, that's okay.
So, and you like Minnesota, that's good to hear, and you live in Lakes Country, but tell us, how did you get connected to disc golf? And then maybe we lead it over into what is disc golf and how big is it by now? Because you know a lot of statistics. I think you're very involved in the National Association, and you also compete in tournaments, I understand. So how did you get involved with disc golf?
So I originally got involved with disc golf with one of my older brothers. His name was Cody Birch. And he came back from Oregon. He had been in Oregon for a couple months up there, or longer actually, but at any rate, he came back to Colorado and introduced us. That's when I sort of caught the bug, so to speak, the fun bug for disc golf.
How long was that ago? 10 years?
That was 11 years now.
Really? That long?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when I was originally introduced to it, or took it seriously, I should say. I've had similar encounters with going to walk around with people in the park while they play, but that's when I actually learned what it was and kind of hit a learning curve and got excited about it.
When was it, invented? I know Frisbee from the beach, and now it is... Got it. Oh, that is Oscar. Sorry. He's with me everywhere. On Instagram, you follow us. Now he's here in our recording studio and he's looking funny, but that's okay. So I know it as Frisbee and as just a game on the beach. But when did it turn to be like a sport? And is that 15? When was that invented, that sport?
I don't remember the exact date. It's been slowly evolving. When they used to... there was a guy named Steady Ed Hedrick that was the main push on evolving it from Frisbee in a park to a sport. He invented what we commonly know to as a basket now. It used to be called the disc pole holder or something. It was really simple. It was a pole and a couple little chains hanging from it that would catch it. So it just steadily progressed. I don't have my notes with me, but rapid growth has been consistent now for 8 years, 10 years, and then the familiarity is up there now. There's a lot of people that recognize what the sport of disc golf is compared to Frisbee.
Yeah.
And even a lot of people call it Frisbee golf, or they combine the two and call it frolf.
Okay.
So if you hear somebody talking about frolf, that's disc golf.
Okay.
But one thing was Whammo owns the right to Frisbee, and so when...
Who does?
Whammo.
Oh, it's a brand, a company?
Yep. Whammo is a big regular Frisbee company.
Oh, really?
And so
it's
back
a copyrighted term.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how the legalities worked out, but they ended up naming it disc golf instead of Frisbee golf.
Okay.
And I knew that played a big part. I don't know the statistics. I'm not a historian.
Yeah.
I try to use my brain for problem solving, not facts. So.
But what I see is I see a lot of people walk around with those bags now, and like I have a bag of golf clubs, and there's a bag of discs, and maybe we can dive into that too. So you have an average of 6 discs for different distances, but let's get back to you relocating from Colorado, bringing your passion to Minnesota. And I think shortly after you arrived, you started a little shop, Big Cat Disc Golf.
Yep, that's correct.
That's your little shop where you supply equipment, but you also are organizing tournaments in the Fergus Falls area. Tell us a little bit more about the past 3 years, what you have built, and how big that community in our Lakes Country area is.
So in the past couple of years, since founding Big Cat Disc Golf, I've steadily been working in the community to, I first started off meeting a lot of people, going to the local leagues, running the roads a lot to go meet people, have fun with them, and then, and also kind of gain some customer broad vision, So from that, there was a need for more events in the area. There were a lot of people that would get together and go play, but with the progression of the sport of disc golf, I saw it necessary that we need a competitive level and fun things to go to. These aren't just like diehards, there's the diehards out there, but
a little bit more organization.
Yeah, a little more organization.
Yeah.
And so from transitioning from just a company that's working hard, getting out there, supplying products, I'm giving them another avenue to enjoy the sport as well, because with the sport of disc golf, there's different learning curves that you'll hit, and you'll get more excited about it. Like with golf, if you struggle learning how to chip onto a green and you learn how to do it, all of a sudden you feel like you're the master, So you have to
I'm
get
still
up.
waiting, but yeah.
I know the feeling.
No, the better you get, the more excited and the more you enjoy going, especially golf. And now, I understand. Yeah, if I throw a disc or a frisbee, because I only own a frisbee, that light thing, I fail. It usually takes a big curve, and it doesn't necessarily go straight. So I assume there's certain tricks, and you also give classes about that, right?
Yes, correct.
So there's need for probably wrist throw and torque, or I don't know what the terms would be, energy from, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. So there's, just like with anything, there's fundamentals. You have to get out there and learn the proper fundamentals to actually be able to compete, or just learn more about it where it's not as frustrating.
Well, being consistent.
Yeah. Consistency is always king. You'll always make it a little further if you learn how to do something consistently, and keep trying. So that's one of the biggest things with disc golf, and why I do offer lessons, is because people can get frustrated with something if they don't see value in it. If they go out there and try something and they don't know
they fail,
that they're doing it wrong, and if they don't hit that next little step, or that, what I like to call an aha moment, like, ooh, what was that? It worked.
I think the point now is to say it is actually easy.
Yeah.
It's not,
we'll say that.
Yeah, we'll say. No, okay. Now, all joking aside, how many courses do you know in the local area? And then we should distinguish maybe that there's more hobby recreational courses, and then I think you mentioned earlier in the pre-talk that there's competing level courses. Maybe we can make a couple distinctions. So the courses I know about, I mean, there's one in Moorhead, but that's not really Lakes Country. I know there's one in Fergus Falls. I think there's one by Detroit Lakes.
Correct.
There's one in Perham. Can we quickly summarize the amount of courses or where they're located?
Yeah, really quickly. We'll do I'll try to focus on the lakes area here.
Right.
But I know there's always a broader view, and for those people that are out there looking for every single course, there's an application on a phone called UDisc. And so if you want to find a course near you, you can hop on your phone and hop on UDisc and check out all of them. Locally here, for people just wanting to get into it or start, or people that are already familiar with it, Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Perham, Henning, and then Wadena, Monaga. There's quite a few popping up in other little
Even
places.
in Henning.
Yep, Henning has a 9-hole disc golf course.
Wow.
Yep, and then Managa is a newer one. I kind of knew the people working on it, the original designer, and then, it developed really nice. The city put in a lot of work and finally got things going there, and it's going to be a beautiful place to go play.
So now, I heard Perm is maybe a little bit more of a recreational level course, and then explain to us the difference between just playing and then maybe a more competing. So 9 holes, what's the par level? Make us understand what the technology or technical terms, the specs.
Yes. So technical terms, if you're looking at a competitive course, it's going to be along the lines of an 18-hole course.
Oh wow.
With typically concrete tee pads for good footing and all that stuff, and then very, very accurate signs that let you know distance, and then location. If you can't see it, say if you're throwing over a hill,
sure,
it gives you a good point of reference. That's what you're going to see a little bit more for a competitive level is more accurate things. And when you go to a tournament setting, there will be OB lines. So OB is out of bounds.
Oh, sure.
And so there's a penalty stroke that can come into play there. When you're playing recreationally, you don't usually play that. You just play it as it lies. Even if it goes in the water, you dive in and throw it out.
Sure.
So that's the biggest difference is signs, the equipment level. It's going to be a PDGA sanctioned basket, so there's different requirements to be able to host a bigger competitive level.
You just mentioned the association. So there is an association which is called?
It's the Professional Disc Golf Association.
PDGA.
Yep,
okay.
PDGA.
And they come and rate a city's course?
Yes, there's different ratings. Mostly with the tournament, there's standardized things that they look at. The overall distance of the course is one of them, and then also the par that is in a play. Around here, a recreational course, you will see a lot higher par per hole. So a 9-hole would be 27 or higher. With it being recreational, you might see 29, even up to 30. But on that same course, if you were to switch it to a competitive style, you would be seeing par 3s. And then if it's to bump up to a par 4 for that hole, you're going to see a lot longer distance, or a lot more trees in the way, or obstacles to get around or over. Yeah, curves, ponds.
You need some sort of a challenge. Otherwise, it's just straight.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I guess, do we have bunkers? Like you said, water obstacle, but can there be? I guess it doesn't matter because you just walk into the bunker and you're standing. You're not really hitting a small ball.
So one thing that you'll see if you get into watching disc golf, there's a lot of media channels out there filming it now.
Oh, really?
And so there's a couple different people out there, and one thing with bunkers. There's a point where some people are transitioning and putting disc golf courses on ball golf courses. Yeah. That's a very current event that's happening as we speak.
It or alongside?
Alongside. Sorry. Yep. Alongside. And so when you get into a bunker, there's 2 ways to do it. If you're running the tournament, you can place it as an OB or out of bounds. Sorry, I'll try to use the full words. Yeah. Or you can do what's called hazard rules and make it out of bounds, and if you throw into it, then you take your 1-stroke penalty, but you don't get to come out of the out-of-bounds area. You still have to play it from the out-of-bounds area, and that is called a hazard rule.
Okay.
So that sitting in there, taking your 1-stroke penalty and playing out of it in lieu of coming back out of bounds. Because that's the only exception to being able to throw from an out of bounds area. Other than that, you have to come back in bounds. And so that's some of the technicalities that you'll see in a competitive level versus a recreational course. Is there might be lines painted or certain things like that. Like I said again on the signs, there might be defined red line that you have to stay away from, or else you get that 1-stroke penalty. If you're out there just to have fun and go play with some friends, go have a good time and walk around, you don't worry about all that. You just go out and throw frisbees and just keep track or not.
Those courses are usually free, right? They're just open to the public.
Correct.
They're just in the park or in some sort of a park, and it's like a city gift. It's like a playground for a kid.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
It's that's exactly what it is. A playground for kids and adults all alike.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have an idea how many, let's call it regular or like more serious disc golfers in the local area? Is there like, because there's some leagues I heard, like let's say Tuesday nights in Detroit Lakes, they get together. How many do we have? 100 players, or is it more in our local area? Do you know?
In our local area, it's probably close to 80.
80 players.
Yep.
And they play regularly, kind of like in a league, and they get together.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's different leagues in the different areas, like you mentioned. Typically, once spring and summer hits, Detroit Lakes has been doing theirs on Mondays, Fergus Falls Wednesdays, and then here in Perm, there was one on Tuesdays.
Okay. And Henning or Menaga don't have a league yet because they're so new?
Correct.
Courses?
Yeah, Henning is a little bit smaller town. They were looking to establish some league play. I haven't got in touch with him to see how that is going. His name is Scott Hart. I had the pleasure to meet him a couple years ago, and he works with the school.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a very good person for exposure to the sport as an athlete. You know, he likes to get out there and teach people new things as well.
Okay. And you mentioned professional tournaments. I mean, league is recreational and for me to go to, I guess, and hang out. But has there been a professional tournament? Has there one been hosted in our local area?
Yes, there has been.
Really?
Last year in Fergus Falls, I hosted the first ever sanctioned tournament in Fergus Falls at the Day Lagoon Park. And so that was the first ever sanctioned event there. There are also...
What means sanctioned?
Sanctioned...
With rules? Or?
Sanctions means the specific rule set brought forth by the Professional Disc Golf Association.
Okay.
So if sorry for the...
No.
I'm so used to these terms, so it's hard to, relate after not thinking about the differences for so long.
So it's a professional organized tournament and 18 holes?
That one was 27 holes.
27 holes?
Yep,
okay.
They have a 27-hole course, so we did...
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bigger, a little more challenging. You get a little hungrier by the end of the round. You're out there kind of battling the elements, and unfortunately there ended up being a ton of wind in play when I hosted the tournament. But the competitors were great. They fought through it. They still had fun regardless.
How many signed up?
We had, I believe it was 54.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, 54.
I hosted a golf tournament back in Germany 20 years ago, and I think my first sign up was like maybe 21. Wow, so that's a lot of people for such a new sport, in my opinion. Where do they all come from?
They come from various areas. We had people coming from the Twin Cities area, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Fargo. We even had the pleasure of having a couple people from Kansas come up.
No kidding.
Yep, they just so happened to be coming up this way to visit their family in town. And
Sure.
And his name is their names were Doug and Naomi Birch, and they are parents to world champion Paige Birch. So she won Worlds in 2018.
Really?
And so we had the pleasure to have them come up. And a little fun fact, Doug Birch was the tournament director for the Glass Blown Open, one of the biggest, or I believe it is the biggest disc golf tournament out there.
Wow.
And so we were lucky enough to draw a very big crowd because of the local people that we knew and have been established in the sport for a while, and also just new recreational players popping up out of the woodworks, so to speak.
That is so cool. And what kind of par level course is the 27? It must be 72 at 18. So what is it? 108 or what's the par?
I believe it was 74 or 75. I believe we did 2 holes at a par 4.
Okay, and everything else is par 3.
Par
then,
3,
sorry.
correct.
So okay, and so what was the winning score? Do you remember?
I don't off the top of my head. Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was a good game. Was
it was a good game? Yeah. The gentleman that won it in the professional division, his name is Anthony Erickson, and so he's a great guy. I don't remember exact scores, but I believe I know it was probably 5-6 under par total.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was a really good score considering all the wind that was in play. And, if you're listening, Anthony, sorry if I butchered it, but you performed really well consistently in the tournament and fought and battled the wind. And, I reached out to him earlier on in the season, so, I have the pleasure to say that he's going to be a sponsored player for Team Big Cat this year.
Okay.
So I have a handful of players out there helping represent my business, and just work towards also a little bit of promotion and also my mission statement, which is growing the sport in a positive, fun-loving, and leadership-based fashion. So
where was he from? So where is he playing?
He's from
Minneapolis?
Yeah, Minneapolis area.
Okay. So are you going to do a second tournament this season, 2020?
Yes. So the Day Lagoon Disc Golf Challenge was the one in Fergus Falls. That's going to be the second one now. And the first one is going to be called the Carpenters Classic. That's going to be held in Detroit Lakes on April 25th. So that's going to be a 2-round tournament. We'll do a round in the morning, have a lunch break, total the scores, and then send everybody back out in different groups according to their score for the second round. And so that's going to be the first one this year. And those are both going to be considered part of the Red River Valley Tour, which Fargo is doing this year. Wow. And so I was lucky enough to meet a lot of good people over there, and they trusted me and saw what I was doing, and I really wanted to work with them. So we're coming together to create more events in a tour series system where everybody gets points in their standings per tournament.
Okay.
And so it's kind of similar to a golf series or Worlds or anything like that.
So if it's a tour, and how many other spots in the Red River Valley? So is it Detroit Lakes and then also Fergus Falls is part of that tour, and then there's a tournament in the Fargo-Moorhead area?
Correct. There's going to be a couple in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Right now there's one planned with dates. It's going to be called the Summer Slam. Last year it was called Trollwood Open, and it was hosted in Trollwood Park at that disc golf course. And that was actually the biggest turnout for the tour last year, I believe, was in Trollwood. A gentleman named Kalen Hogan and Dylan Schmidt, those two guys worked really, really hard, and they got a lot of people to show up and have a good time despite some tough weather conditions again, right there in the middle of the day. It was interesting.
So, like pretty much every month, there's going to be an opportunity to play in a tournament. Then, if it's
Yes, it'll be very consistent. Within a month or in a spread of at least every 2 weeks, there'll be an opportunity to go out there and test yourself, see what you're learning, see how you're progressing, and also just spend good quality time competing with what will become your friends.
Yeah.
If they aren't already.
Yeah.
So that also includes the Grand Forks area.
Okay. Yeah, Red River Valley, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, there's a lot going on. And before we talk about your contribution to our event in March at our season opener party, where you're going to have a game for people to come, give us some more statistics. You said it was a very rapidly growing sport, like on a national basis. Do you have any statistics top of your head? How many players? Do you know any of those?
I believe it's at least up to 130,000 members, professional members.
In this association?
In the Professional Disc Golf Association, yep. So you get what your membership is, what it's called, and there's 2 levels of membership: amateur classification and a professional classification.
Wow.
So yeah, I believe it's has exceeded that, and 2 or 3 years ago, it was the race to see who was going to be the 100,000th member.
Yeah.
So there were people signing up like crazy, trying to get that 100,000 number. So it's very interesting in that fashion, and the way it's progressing into I guess the overall outlook. It's changing a lot in the fact that it wasn't taken seriously by other professions. Now it's transitioning where it's a serious profession as well, not just a hobby or something somebody does. It's a professional athlete now.
Really?
Yeah. So there's been 2 big things happen, both from the same company, Discraft. I've been a big follower of them for a long time. They're a manufacturer, and they have 2 sponsored players now that are both 5-time world champions. And last year they got Paul Macbeth on their team and switched over, and he has the biggest contract in the world right now. And this year, Paige Pierce switched over to Discraft, and that has the potential to outrun Paul's if I'm correct. There's a few different things that come into play with sales and commissions, and also her ability to sell products and run her side of her little business setup as well. But those are
is it unisex, or like can you play women and men? It's not separated.
It's unisex in the fact that women can play in men's divisions, but men can't play in women divisions.
What?
Yep. Yep.
Well, okay, interesting. Okay.
So it's just the
whatever, but
yeah.
that's weird.
Yep.
So, but we have 2 different divisions. We have the male and the female division.
Correct.
Okay. So, but like, and then it's mixed, ladies first, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So at big events, there's hundreds of players now. Is the way it's growing. If you go to an A-tier tournament, there's different classifications of tournaments.
Mm-hmm. So
there's a C-tier, which is the lower level, a B-tier, which is the next one up, obviously, and it's got a minimum of what is now $750 cash has to be added to the pro divisions on top of the entry fees. To go back into the pro purse is what they call it, the pro purse. So in order to qualify for that, you have to have a minimum of $750 added cash to add into all of the professional divisions. And then A tier is next after that, and then also the topper is the national tours, or NTs, they're referred to as.
Really?
Correct, yep.
Interesting. So I think whoever is interested to learn more should come March 20th to our event at the Civic Center in downtown Fargo. They can meet with you and talk more about disc golf and equipment. What's an average bag? How many discs do you have? 3 or 6?
An average bag recreationally is probably about 4 to 6. Competitively, you're going to be looking at averages probably upwards of 15 to 18
discs.
Yes, correct.
Interesting.
And
I think in the golf league you can only have 9 clubs or something. Isn't there a limit?
I don't believe there's a limit as of right now. I haven't seen anybody out there carrying around 100 different discs yet. But me and my brother were joking about it the other day when I was carrying in bags from my store. I was bringing them inside. Yeah. And so we were joking about that the other day. But I don't believe there's a limit.
I know in golf there was, I thought, but in traditional golf.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I've read the rule book from front to back a couple times to get familiar with it before I run a tournament. Sure. And I'll be going back through it again here. But I haven't seen anything on a limit. There is a standard of it has to be approved by the Professional Disc Golf Association in order to use it in a tournament. Okay. Otherwise, it's invalid, and you can become there's
Disqualified.
consequences. Yeah, there's consequences to that.
But to our show in March in the Civic Center, you're going to bring a bag and you're going to show some equipment, right, for people to talk about or feel or
Yes, exactly.
and
So,
test out. And then we have a little challenger course.
yeah,
2 little baskets.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a great informational event as far as coming to learn and have fun with it and see what it's about. Just a little bit of information can go a long ways. You know, I can teach you anything from your basics. If you're new to the sport, I won't drown you with all these special statistics and flight patterns and this and that. I'll give you the straightest disc I have and say throw it straight. A lot of people refer to it as water. You know, place your water on top of your disc and just keep it flat the whole way.
Yeah.
So just come see us. It's going to be a fun event. There's a lot of other things going on as well, and then there's a 2-hole interactive course that's going to give you a brief idea of what it actually is. A lot of people haven't done it, so they don't know what it takes or the physicality of it.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a good eyesight to that is going to be on the table, and we'd love to have you come check it out, and then I'll be there to answer questions. We can do anything. You have a question, I have an answer. Throw anything out there.
And you mentioned there's a game that you will set up. It's called Ring of Fire.
Yeah, that is correct. So we will be doing what's called Ring of Fire. And so it's a putting game where everybody gets a disc and they get the same distance away from the basket. We're going to do 33 feet. And so everybody counts down, or there'll be one moderator and they'll go, he'll do a countdown, and then boom, everybody throws at once. And there's chains crashing, discs hitting each other in the air, frisbees flying, people dodging them. Depends how aggressive people get, but it's a lot of fun. And there's going to be a set of prizes that I'll have set aside for that. So each winner of the round of Ring of Fire will get a prize.
Very cool, very cool. I'm excited, and actually I want to try out disc golf this season for sure. Thank you very much for coming again to our program. This was very cool. And what's your website? I guess people can Google you too, bigcatdiscgolf.com?
Yes, exactly. It's www.bigcatdiscgolf.com, and you can Google it. It'll pop up just fine. Our winter, we're seasonal through the winter for in-person sales, but if you'd like, you could just give me a call too. All my information is on the Google listing. Yeah. And then, we're available 24/7 on my website, which I'm currently redoing and I'm really excited about.
Good.
Also, for events, current things that are happening, follow us on Instagram at BigCatDG. So hashtag BigCatDG is for disc golf.
Okay.
So if you hop on there, like us, follow us, subscribe. We're doing a lot of different product updates on there. So if you're an advanced guy wanting to see what the next new thing is, hop on there and follow us. We'll be posting up pictures every time we get something new and interesting in. Or if you have questions, I can field your questions on there through Messenger as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you much, and I hope 2020 will be a great season, and I'm excited to check out one of those tournaments.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always good talking to you.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get you out there to a tournament.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good weekend ahead.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah, this was already our newest episode of the Lake Life Weekend podcast. We sure hope you enjoyed it. Tune in again next week with another great guest and updates. Always check out our website, lakelifeweekend.com, and if you have some comments, please feel free to email us at hello@lakelifeweekend.com, and you have a wonderful weekend ahead.